All right, now we move on to 3 key questions here to close out the show. So we're going to start with, which fighter are you looking forward to the most as far as like career-wise to follow throughout 2025? I'll start. Carlos Praxis. I think that guy is just the best thing that could ever happen to the UFC. It's a welterweight division. Super, super exciting. Out there smoking ciggies, drinking booze, knocking people out. I mean, this guy's just so much fun, and he's an elite fighter. I do want to see how far he can get in this division. I think pretty far, and there's so many matchups out there that are so exciting. So that's the career that I'm most excited for this 2025.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. Especially, clearly the UFC thinks incredibly high of this guy, right? Like, they went to him to fight Shavkat at 310 before they went to Ian Gary. They went to him for a lot of people. Now there's rumors, will he get the number 1 ranked former champion Leon Edwards in a main event in London? Like, some chatter about that. So clearly they think highly of him. Yeah, and they're pushing him towards the top. So I think that's a great choice, Danny.
All right, Mike, you wanna keep the
I can follow up with my choice. I'll go career-wise. Let's say Dustin Poirier, obviously someone I've followed for a long time, been around a lot, close to, and I think what are they going to do for the finale here, right? Like, are they going to give him the fight in Louisiana that he so dearly deserves and wants, and things like that? And will it be the trilogy with Holloway? Will it be the trilogy with Gaethje? Will it be another BMF fight? I mean, you can do no wrong with the Dustin Poirier fight, but if we're only getting one, if it is Uno Mas, what are they going to do with him to kind of make it appreciated by him and something he wants to do, and the fans and the opponent and all that stuff? So yeah, I know it's saying I want to follow a career that is about to end and like has one fight left in it, but it's been a very special Hall of Fame career. So shout out to Dustin Poirier. I'm curious to see what happens here.
100%. Matt?
I'm gonna go younger. I'm gonna go to the bantamweight division. I'm gonna go Peyton Talbot.
Okay.
I'm very impressed.
Great pick.
Impressed with what this guy's done through 3 fights in the UFC so far. He looks like he's playing the video game on rookie mode. Like, he's just going out there and styling on dudes and barely breaks a sweat. So I think, depending on his schedule of this year, it could be like that breakout year for him, where he gets into the top 10, top 5 by the end of 2025, and we could see his name in the title conversations come 2026.
Dan, I know you got some hipster pick, right? Like, surprise.
I gotta go hipster pick now. You guys went Talbot and Pratis, and like, those are great picks, man. You guys all had great picks. Listen, I'm gonna stay away from my under the radar fighter, but I will say there's plenty of picks for that, and it will come from the featherweight division. Given all the movement at the top, how can under the radar? How can you not be under the radar at featherweight? But I'm gonna go one division up. I'm gonna go lightweight with a guy that probably could have made the honorable mentions for that list, with Esteban Ribovic. I think he's going to have a big year, even though he just gave us fight of the year and round of the year in the UFC, with all their thought and effort in incentivizing matchmaking, is putting this guy in the apex. That aside, Esteban Ribovic, baby, underrated, fun fighter, a guy I just want to see out there every time.
Yeah,
Dan, why are you complaining about the apex? Now you can just go watch it in person. Just take a look.
Yeah, that's true, Dan.
There you go.
Yeah, but for the overall crowd, you don't need the crowd there. Like, even as bad as that Sphere crowd was, they lit up for that round 3, right? For Esteban Ribovic versus Zellhuber. Oh my goodness.
Yep. Okay. Good teaser as we get into our year-end awards over on MMA Junkie. So keep an eye on that one.
Will be released this week. So keep a close eye on our socials and on the site, obviously. All right, now we go to bold prediction for 2025, and I'll start off. You guys know, if you've been following me for some time, I'm a big fan of the Legends division up to a certain extent. GFL, baby, Global Fight League. I actually think they're going to put on some big fights, and I think there'll be a point of discussion. Will that translate to financial success? I don't know. But will it translate to relevancy? I think so. I think we're going to see some big fights, and I think we're going to see a lot of coverage around there. And I'm going to say that GFL is going to be a big topic in 2025. That's my bold prediction.
All right. Can't wait for your mock draft and all your pre-draft coverage coming up on MMA Junkie, Danny.
Yep.
For me, I will say, I know it kind of ducktails into what we talked about with John Jones earlier. I'm going to say we get 2 John Jones fights in 2025, which feels like a huge leap. But I don't know. I've done for the past 3 years, I do a bold predictions column for MMA Junkie, and my one last year was Conor McGregor and John Jones will have 1 combined fight. Ended up nailing that one. I think the year before I said 2 and I had the under. So let's be optimistic. Let's be hopeful that we will see the MMA GOAT, John Jones, fight twice in 2025. He's going to beat Tom Aspinall and he's going to fight Alex Pereira. He's going to get everything he wanted and then leave 2 UFC divisions in shambles as he goes
Let's
into
go. I like that bold prediction. Now, Matt sort of teased it, if you guys don't remember, a few minutes ago, and I didn't like the way that sounded because he said no Shama. So let's dramatically do a drum roll here. Matt, your turn.
Yeah, no Shama, because he's moving up to heavyweight by the end of the year, and he's going to beat Tom Aspinall or John Jones. I don't know which one it's going to be, but my bold prediction is Alex Pereira is going to be the heavyweight champ by the end of 2025.
Okay, all right. I like that.
Short and sweet. That's what it is.
Directly in conflict with my prediction. It's perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. I hope one of you guys are right because either way, we're going to get a lot of action there.
Yeah.
And, if the GFL signs Ron Waterman, then sign me up, baby. Let's get all the old guys, baby. Let's do it right. My bold prediction, I'm going to go off a bold prediction I had almost 10 years ago in 2015, folks. And I said, Dominic Cruz is going to fight Frankie Edgar because there's no way the matchmakers can be that dumb, right? It's not like they're going to make Frankie Edgar fight a guy like Chris Gutierrez and get knocked out and then completely bury Chris Gutierrez with that potential momentum, which was nothing in the prelims, screwing over everybody in the process. There's no way they're going to do that. But this year, they're going to make it right. They're going to make, speaking of legends fights, we're going to get Jose Aldo versus Dominic Cruz, baby. Do it, UFC matchmakers. You know you want to make the right fight. Make it.
They're going to put it in the Apex.
Yeah.
Well, that's great for Dan because he's going to get to go watch it. We're going to hear him screaming on the broadcast. Finally! Right, so great predictions, guys. I hope all of them come true. I don't know how it's going to work out between Mike and Matt because it is conflicting, but I hope they do fight if the Tom Aspinall fight gets made first. So
just wait till Sergey Pavlovich ends the year as UFC heavyweight champion.
Imagine. Wow, that'd be something. I want to see the odds for that. All right, guys. Last question here to close out this final episode of SBC in 2024, which is a wish for 2025. I'll start off. My wish is for PFL, for Bellator, for GFL, for all these leagues or promotions outside of the UFC to do well. 2024 was a bummer of a year in terms of like outside competition of the UFC. Yes, the UFC did great, but I do think in order to have a healthy ecosystem here in MMA, there needs to be more players having success outside of the UFC. So I want Bellator to have big fights. I want PFL to have big fights. I want GFL to have big fights. And I want them to be talked about. And I want them to fuel the UFC to even have better years as well. I think competition is the best thing that can happen to the sport. So I wish them the best. And hopefully Don Davis keeps his promise and gives at least 2 fights per year, per fighter per year. Hopefully that's the case. So wish all the best to them. Hopefully they do well.
Someone else go.
And then next year, guys, makes about 20 years since I've been watching the sport. I don't know how long you guys have been watching. I don't know if you guys feel me, but this honestly felt like the worst year in and out of the UFC and MMA overall since I've been watching. It's up there with 2020, except it doesn't have the excuse of 2020 nor the inactivity. This was a terrible year. Rematches, nonstop middleweight or heavyweight main events in the Apex, too many Apex fights, all that, less rematches, less Apex, more lighter weight attractions, and please just give us a better year of MMA. This was objectively a terrible year. I'm sorry. Prove me wrong.
Okay. Matt, what's your wish?
My wish, it's going to be taking a page from GFL and applying it to the UFC. Because when they announced what they were going to be doing, with all their bullet points on their documents and whatnot, one that stood out to me, of course, was the revenue share, right? And we talk about this all the time, and it's kind of like beating a dead horse, so to speak, because the UFC fighters seem to not care about it, but I'm going to care because I'm a fan of multiple sports, and it always pains me to see that the sport I cover and the sport that I love the most, these guys are okay with getting 17, 18% of the revenue, whereas all these other sports get 50, 49, 48, they're getting more of the money. So that would be my wish. I know it's a long shot. It's a pipe dream. It's whatever you want to call it. But that would be my wish, to apply that to that the UFC somehow, one way or another, allows the fighters to take home more of the overall revenue, because year after year, it's just like, oh, we're going to build another PI. We're going to build another PI. We're going to take this country. We're going to do this, do that. All of that is money that should be going into the fighters' pockets one way or the other. So if I could apply one thing from GFL to the UFC, it would be that.
Mike,
Those
you
are
got
good
the
ones.
final wish here?
Well, my wish, of course, is for all your wishes to come true, you guys.
thank you so much.
But
So thoughtful.
finally, I'll just say, and this is no shot. I think we have a very great group of people in the chat and some great feedback and support. But let's just say to the fans, let's do a little more vetting on your side of things you're reposting, fight announcements on Twitter that aren't valid or coming from legitimate people. Maybe be a little nicer to the fighters if they lost you your parlay or something like that. Let's just have a little more love and a little more accuracy and a little more thoroughness in how we all approach the sport in 2025. And let's raise the bar for everyone out here.
I will play.
Well said.
For more media literacy as well.
Yeah, I'm all about that. What a wholesome way to finish the last SBC show of the year.